Passage from the chapter where I describe climbing up to the top of Nathan. A spell of fine weather in late November finally gave me a chance to push on past the shoulder of the spur. I took the marked route starting at the Clockbrack water scheme, following the ridge of the small hill. As I crossed the first stretch of stony ground after about an hour's walking, I heard a snowbunting's brief trill, like a little ritual bell, a summons to the holy mountain. By the time I got to the narrow ridge separating the two valleys, I was fully embraced by the higher mountain sides and their broad falls of scree. On this stony terrain, vegetation was flattened and stunted, with bearberry forced to crawl prostrate to avoid the elements. At 500 metres I saw Glen Nathan as a bright floor of green and brown quilting. Beltre Loch was farther off, a platter of glare suspended in a velvet haze. As time is precious on these short winter days, I was mindful of my turnaround deadline of 1 o'clock. I had an hour left as I made the last section of the ascent, counting the white sticks that some generous, thoughtful people had put there a couple of years earlier. Those fine lines at 70-metre intervals served me as way and mind markers. Just keep moving, don't turn back now. 4 more and you'll be at the rim of the plateau. 3 ravens quartered the high rim of the glen, pronking and tumbling to underline their ownership of these spaces. I checked each of them with my binoculars, hoping for an eagle to take shape among them. I've done this thousands of times in the Mayo Mountains for thousands of ravens, hoodies and gulls, and 3 eagles. 2 sea eagles on separate occasions at Letterkeene, and that unexpected thrilling Goldie in Glenlara last December. 3 observations to add to a scant chronicle of their presence in Wild Nathan. And then I am at the last marker, eye level with the tabletop. White zeppelins of cloud block the space for a few moments and then pass on. Distance is misted over, but I have a clear sight across stony rubble to a few low cairns of quartzite. The first of these is topped with a slab of bright quartz, and there to my right, nearer and more convenient than expected, is the concrete plinth of the trig point, marking the top at 806 metres. There's still some drifted snow on the ground from a few days earlier, with the footprints of other walkers. This terrain is also densely marked by stone formations, circles and spirals, as if in homage to Andy Goldsworthy, and faint traces of a few names subsiding into the overgrowth of moss. A partly collapsed curved section of wall shelters a makeshift stone bench in its arc, just enough for a brief rest, or an invitation to a brave camper to pitch a tent here on a night in summer. I'm still busy with my camera phone, mindful of my schedule as I approach the trig point and its tattered scrap of braid in the county colours. Then I step around it and my spirit nearly falls out through my eyes. I have blundered to the edge of a gulf so profound that the mind stopped, as Nan Shepherd wrote of a similar moment in the Cairngorms. The great corrie of Finn's chair is there at my feet. If a gust of wind shouldered me off this ledge, I could roll and slide for 1,000 feet before the slope eased. My senses are in a rush to find their scale, like that moment in a film when a camera moves across a rooftop and then discovers the fall to street level hundreds of feet down. I look again at my phone and hesitate before taking a photograph. The display shows the name of someone I shared a life with many years ago. In the same combination, I glimpse a complete fetch of altitude and a reckoning of my years. I take a couple of quick snaps of the abyss and back away. Something in the device knows about me. The screen prompt says, "Try saying take a selfie." Whatever intelligence this is, geolocation or some algorithm that has processed my panoramic shots, I decline, as if I were beyond vanity here, if no vanity had compelled me to come here in the first place. I mark the occasion instead by going back to the rough shelter, where I sit down and pour some hot tea from a flask. In the clear spaces among the snow, just beyond my boots, a tight carpet of sedges and grass is coloured like golden tweed.